You're not getting any inheritance. Your brothers actually deserve it, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise anymore." My father announced at Christmas dinner, setting down his fork like he was delivering a business verdict rather than crushing his daughter at the holiday table. "Marcus and Thomas have families to support. They've stayed close to home. They've contributed. You moved away and did whatever it is you do with computers." I smiled and quietly closed the laptop I'd been using to check work emails, watching my brothers exchange satisfied glances while my mother studied her plate and said nothing. Because what was there to say to a man who'd just confirmed, publicly, what I'd suspected my entire life? What my father didn't realize, what the entire Hayes family was about to discover, was that the daughter he'd just disinherited had quietly become one of the wealthiest people in America, and the whatever she did with computers had just landed her on the Forbes billionaire list that morning. The annual Hayes Christmas gathering was always a performance. 30 years of tradition. My parents' house in suburban Ohio, extended family cramming into spaces too small for so many people. My father presiding over everything like a benevolent king dispensing wisdom and approval. Approval that had never extended to me. I was the middle child, older than Thomas, younger than Marcus, and somehow always invisible. My brothers had followed expected paths: business degrees, corporate jobs, marriages to appropriate women, children born on appropriate schedules. They'd stayed within 50 miles of our parents' house, attended every Sunday dinner, maintained the illusion of a close-knit family. I'd committed the unforgivable sin of leaving. After college, I'd moved to San Francisco. I'd taken a job at a startup instead of the respectable accounting firm my father had arranged. I'd worked 80-hour weeks building something my family didn't understand. "You're wasting your potential on nonsense," my father had said when I'd tried to explain my work. So I'd stopped explaining. For 12 years, I'd kept my professional life deliberately vague. Tech consulting, I'd say. Software development. My family's eyes would glaze over, and the conversation would move to Marcus's sales numbers or Thomas's latest promotion. No one ever asked for details. No one ever wanted to know. The Forbes notification had arrived that morning. I'd known it was coming. My company's IPO 3 months ago had made my net worth public information. But seeing my name on the list, with that number beside it, had felt surreal. Eliza Hayes, $4.7 billion. I'd built a cybersecurity platform from scratch, grown it from 3 employees to 3,000, and taken it public in the largest tech IPO of the year. I'd done it while my family assumed I was struggling in some anonymous tech job, probably waiting tables on the side. My father's disinheritance announcement was almost comically timed. "Your brothers have responsibilities," he continued, warming to his theme. "Marcus has 2 kids in private school. Thomas is building an addition on his house. They need the family resources. You've never asked for help, never needed support. You're obviously doing fine on your own." "I am doing fine," I agreed. "See? You don't even argue. That's how I know you don't care about this family." "I care. I just don't measure caring in dollars." Easy to say when you've never had real responsibilities. I could have responded. Could have pointed out that I employed 3,000 people, that I'd created billions in shareholder value, that my responsibilities extended far beyond private school tuition. Instead, I just smiled. Let them believe what they wanted. In an hour, I'd drive back to my hotel, fly home tomorrow, and return to a life they'd never bothered to understand. Then my nephew Tyler gasped. Tyler was 17, Marcus's oldest son, perpetually attached to his phone. "Oh my God," he said, loud enough to cut through the table conversation. "Annalisa? Yes. Is this you?" He turned his phone to show me the Forbes website, my professional headshot prominent on the screen. "Eliza Hayes? The tech billionaire." The table went quiet. "Let me see that," my father said, reaching for the phone. "It's her," Tyler said, scrolling through the article. "Eliza Hayes, founder and CEO of Sentinel Security, has joined the Forbes 400 with an estimated net worth of $4.7 billion. Hayes built her cybersecurity company over 12 years, recently taking it public in a historic IPO. There's like 3 pages about her." My father was reading now, his face cycling through confusion, disbelief, and something that looked like anger. "This is a mistake. This can't be. It's not a mistake." I spoke quietly. "Sentinel Security is my company. I founded it. I built it. I took it public. But you said you worked in tech consulting." "I said I worked in tech. You filled in the rest. You never told us." "I tried. Years ago. You said I was wasting my potential on nonsense. I looked around the table at my stunned family. So I stopped trying to explain and just did the work. The silence stretched for nearly a minute. Then Marcus found his voice. Wait, so when you said you were doing fine, I meant I'm worth nearly $5 billion, yes. And you just didn't mention that? When would I mention it? Between Dad criticizing my life choices and Mom asking when I'm finally going to settle down and give her grandchildren? You've all been so certain about who I am that it never occurred to anyone to ask what I actually do. Thomas was doing mental calculations, his accountant's brain struggling with the numbers. 4.7 billion. That's more than Dad's company is worth by a factor of about 100, yes. My father finally looked up from the phone. You're saying you own a company worth. Sentinel's market cap is approximately $18 billion. I own roughly 26% of the shares. Do the math. Why didn't you tell us? Why would I? You just announced at Christmas dinner that you're disinheriting me because I don't contribute to this family. You've spent my entire life dismissing my choices, minimizing my achievements, and treating me like a disappointment. Why would I share my successes with people who never wanted to hear about them? My mother started crying. My father's jaw was tight. You kept this secret deliberately, he said. To embarrass us. No, Dad. I kept it private because my worth as your daughter shouldn't depend on my net worth as an executive. But since you brought up money, since you specifically announced that I don't deserve family inheritance because I haven't contributed, I thought you should know exactly how wrong you are. The aftermath was predictable chaos. My brothers suddenly wanted to know everything about my company, my journey, my success. Their wives were calculating what this meant for family dynamics. The children were Googling my name, finding articles and interviews I'd given over the years. You were on CNN, Tyler said, showing me his phone again. Like multiple times. I know. I was there. Why didn't you tell us? Would anyone have watched? He didn't have an answer. My father had retreated to his study, unable to process what had happened. My mother followed, trying to mediate a crisis she didn't understand. I sat at the dinner table, watching my life's work ripple through my family like a shockwave. My mother found me later, on the back porch. You should have told us. I told you I was happy. I told you I was successful. You didn't believe me because it didn't look the way you expected. But billions of dollars is just money. It doesn't change who I am. It doesn't change that I've been the same person all along. The person you dismissed because I didn't follow the script you wrote. Your father feels terrible. Does he? Or does he feel embarrassed that he disinherited his richest child in front of witnesses? She didn't answer. Mom, I stopped needing Dad's approval years ago. I built something meaningful without it. But tonight proved exactly why I kept my distance. Because the only time this family pays attention to me is when there's money involved. That's not fair, isn't it? For 12 years, no one asked about my work. No one visited San Francisco. No one cared that I was building something important. But now that there's a number attached, suddenly everyone wants to understand. We love you regardless of money. Then why was money the first thing Dad mentioned when he explained why I didn't deserve inheritance? Why was contribution measured in proximity and financial need rather than actual achievement? She had no answer for that either. I stayed the night. It was Christmas after all, but left early the next morning. My father emerged as I was loading my rental car, looking like he'd aged 10 years overnight. Eliza. Wait. I stopped. I need to apologize. For which part? Disinheriting me? Dismissing my career? Never asking about my life? All of it. He approached slowly. I've spent your whole life comparing you to your brothers, expecting you to want what they wanted. When you didn't, I assumed you'd failed. I never considered you might be succeeding beyond anything I could imagine. No, you didn't. Why didn't you tell me? Really? I thought about the question, the real answer, not the angry one. Because I wanted you to be proud of me without knowing I was rich. I wanted you to respect my choices before they made headlines. I wanted just once for you to ask about my work and actually listen. I'm listening now. You're listening because you saw a number. That's not the same thing. What can I do to fix this? I don't know, Dad. Maybe start by realizing that inheritance was never the point. I didn't need your money. I haven't needed it for years. What I needed was for you to see me, to know me, to care about my life even when it didn't look like what you expected. I do care. Then prove it. Not with money, not with apologies, but with interest. Ask me about my company. Ask me about my life in San Francisco. Ask me what I dream about, what I worry about, what makes me get up in the morning. I'm asking now. I looked at my father, this man who'd shaped so much of my life, for better and worse. Then let's get coffee. And actually talk. We spent 3 hours at a diner, having the conversation we should have had years ago. I told him about Sentinel, how I'd spotted the cybersecurity gap, how I'd built the platform, how I'd navigated the male-dominated tech world. He asked questions, real questions, and for the first time in my life, he listened. He told me things too, about his own insecurities, his fear that I'd become so successful I'd leave the family behind entirely. His disinheritance announcement, he admitted, had been a test, a way to see if I'd fight for a place in the family. That's a terrible test, I said. I know. I'm not proud of it. I wasn't going to fight for inheritance. But I would have fought for relationship. You just never gave me that option. I'm giving it now. If you'll take it. It's been 3 years since that Christmas. The relationship with my father isn't perfect, but it's real. He visits San Francisco twice a year. He's met my team, toured my offices, and watched me ring the bell for our first acquisition. He asks questions about tech now, genuine questions, not dismissive ones. The inheritance he'd threatened to withhold? He restructured it, splitting everything equally among his children. I told him I'd donate my share to charity. I didn't need it. I know, he said. But you earn the right to decide what happens to it. That's what equal means. My brothers have adjusted too. Marcus actually reads about cybersecurity now, texts me articles he thinks might be interesting. Thomas asked me to mentor his daughter, who wants to study computer science. We're not the family I always wished we were, but we're learning to be the family we actually are. Last month, Forbes updated their list. My net worth had grown to $6.2 billion. Sentinel stock had performed well, and the new enterprise division was exceeding projections. My father texted me that morning, saw the update, but more importantly, how was your week? 8 words that would have meant nothing before that Christmas. 8 words that meant everything now. He'd finally learned to ask, and I'd finally learned to answer.